Today's episode of the Just Keep Swimming podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service offering over 10,000 books and the ability to listen to your favorite podcasts, including the Just Keep Swimming podcast. I personally use Audible all the time and suggest you take a listen to Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. In this book, Mr. Maxwell shares his story on how he was able to live a noble and purposeful life and gives you tips and tricks so you can do the same. So please start your 30-day free trial now at www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast, all lowercase. Again, that is www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast. And if you have any more questions or concerns for the Just Keep Swimming podcast, you're always welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or at Instagram at Just Keep Swimming _podcast, or you can email us at jkspodcast702@gmail.com. And with that out the way, let's dive into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. This is your friend, your boy, your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, and we back at it again with another great episode for you. And you already know who's with me. It's the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr. Toi. Dropping hot beats for the city as always. Make sure you guys check out and stay up to date with him because he has some new projects on the way that you guys do not want to miss. But for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start off by saying hope 2024 is going good for you so far. It's already been a crazy year, but you know what? It's going to be a beautiful year. It's going to be the year of truth. You know, the year of truth. A lot of this real truth's about to come out about what's going on in our world. So, you know, let's try to keep our minds open. Let's try to keep our heart alert. And let's not let none of this stuff deter us or make us go into this negative feeling that, you know, hopeless feeling. That's the last thing we want to go into. But for today's episode, I really want to talk about something that I've been focusing on so far this year. The last episode, I talked about alignment and how you need to get aligned with your purpose and where you want to be at in life so you can really get there to really make your blessings come true. But my one thought that I've been having recently is, how do I get into alignment? And the first step for that for me is to stop and really think. And I've really been focusing on that for the beginning of the year so far, really just thinking about my journey, thinking about where I came from, where I want to go, how I'm going to get there, you know, the things that I actually want in life, or, you know, the things that I want compared to the things that I need, compared to the things that I just desire, you know? So, my first mindset for this year is to stop and think. So how can we stop and think? What are some tips that we can use to help us stop and think? So the tips I'm about to share is what I do personally, and I'm hoping that it can help you guys out as well. So tip number one is going to be focus on one thought at one time. So, you know, a lot of people, we believe that we have the capability of multitasking. We have the capability to have 20 different thoughts in our head at one time. And yes, our brain may be able to store the thoughts, but our brain is not able to process all the thoughts at one time. You know, we all think we can multitask, but we actually truly can't multitask like a computer can when it has one program running in the background while you're focusing on another program up front. You know, the way our brains are wired, they're wired to switch back and forth between tasks really fast, you know, compared, you know, washing dishes and listening, you know, you're switching back and forth really fast, but you're not doing them at the same time. You're switching back and forth. And that's why, you know, when somebody starts talking, you miss out on what you were listening to, or, you know, once you start thinking too much on what your hands are doing, you miss what you're listening to. You miss a part of the song, the part of the book that you wanted to hear. So yeah, we can't multitask, people. That's lesson number one that we all need to learn. So with that being said, we have to learn to focus on one thing at one time. You know, we need to focus on holding a thought into our head, definitely a positive thought, or a mental, whatever it is that we're trying to marinate on. We need to learn to hold that in our head as a single thought and not let all the other thoughts come around that distract us from them. So, if you're trying to focus on how you're going to do this project, you can't focus on that with the football game going in the background and, you're trying to talk to your wife, your spouse at the same time. You need to truly focus on what the task is at hand, so you can't truly figure out who and where you want to be and how you want to get there if you're so worried and focused on where you are right now, or all your current worries and all your current states. And I understand that the worries and stuff, they're going to be there, but we have to learn to set them aside for a moment so we can truly just focus on what we want to do. So what is one good step that we can do to help us focus on one thing at a time? So my first suggestion is always meditate. I've been meditating a lot this year, for sure, definitely at the beginning of the day and end of the day before I go to bed. And I be feeling that the meditation truly helps me just focus on that one thought. And, a lot of times I realize that the thought that I thought was scary is not as scary as I thought it would be once I started meditating and started truly thinking it out fully. So that's one thing I suggest everybody do is meditate. And then part 2 is always, of course, journaling. There's never nothing wrong with journaling and writing down your ideas. I feel that writing down your ideas, get them out your head and on paper so you can see them in front of you. And then, you can open up new space for new thoughts to flow in, because if your mind is full of all these thoughts, you can't possibly bring in new thoughts with all these old ones running around. You have to get them out. You have to put them on paper. You have to get them out your mind so new, inspiring, positive thoughts can roll in. So, my suggestion would be is get a sheet of paper. I personally have a few journaling books, find you a journaling book and, maybe write the topic that you really want to focus on the top of the paper, and just go down the paper and just try to fill out as much as you can based off that thought and, go from there. So, you can start off one with cooking ideas, and you can go through all your ideas you want to do with cooking, and then you can go with, money making ideas, and then, go down based off that. And then if an idea stands out to you, take the idea and put it on another sheet of paper and go from there. Okay, well, money making ideas doing this, and then write down all the thoughts and ideas you have, positive or negative. I suggest you write down every single thought, because yes, writing down the positive is good, but the negative is going to linger. So it's like you have to get out the negative as well so the positive can truly flow in. So my mindset is always start off with what's the best that can happen with this situation, what's the absolute worst that can happen in a situation, and then from there you can start filling all the middle ground. And I feel like when I feel like the middle ground, that lets me know that, I am overthinking it, or maybe I'm underthinking it, so yeah, that's my mindset. So let's try to meditate, let's try to journal. And then something else that truly helps me out is working out. Me personally, I like to walk. I'm a walker. I'll go take a walk around the block, or walk around the schools or whatever is around me, find a park and go walk around the park. And when I walk, I try to just, if I'm not trying to let go, I try to just focus on what I'm focusing on and try to keep that thought in the top of my mind the whole time, and always just try to tell myself I need a solution, I need a solution, I need a solution. And the more that I think about the thought and focus on me trying to find a solution, is when more ideas come to me and flow to me and helps me figure out other solutions. So yeah, I would say, take a walk, get out in nature, do something that can really help yourself just breathe. And I think that's my last step for sure, is the breath. The breath is so powerful. They say when you meditate, you're not even supposed to think anything. All you're supposed to think on is your breath. Just focus on the breath, the in breath and the out breath. And I think that right there is always a great way to get back to the world that we're in. Focus on what's going on right now. What can I hear? What can I smell? What can I see? What can I feel? What can I taste? And then, that right there will help you get back to the real world and get you out of your mind and out of your thoughts. Because if you sometimes we get too far in your thoughts, you lose it, and you don't even realize that you're not paying attention to certain things no more. And that's when usually most car accident happens. They say a lot of car accidents happen when people are too emotional while they're driving. And if you have too much emotion flowing and it's messing up your thinking pattern or your focus, then all it's going to lead is to a disaster. So yeah, let your emotions emote, but make sure you get back to that thought and try to understand your emotions at the time. And that's something I've been practicing as well. When I feel myself get emotional, I try to sit back and stop and be like, why am I feeling this emotion? Why is this emotion coming up? What is this emotion exactly? Is it sadness? Is it anger? Or is it aggravation? Is it irritation? You know what I'm saying? Is it truly happiness, or is this bliss, or is this peace, or what's the case, and try to understand what the emotion is. So yeah, that's something that I kind of been doing this year for sure. It's really just trying to sit back, trying to journal, focus on one thing at a time, use my meditation, use my workout to really focus on whatever thought I want to focus on, and just help it come to fruition, or at least give me the ideas that I'm looking for. Because if I don't stop and think, all I'm going to do is just drive myself crazy, drive myself mad, drive myself into insanity. And the last thing you want to do is to drive yourself there. Let's drive yourself to peace. Let's drive yourself to purpose. And my last but not least is going to be, sometimes let go. Sometimes the idea that we get from all the thinking is to just let it go. And if that's the conclusion we came up with, then, trust your conclusion. Trust your conclusion. Everything doesn't need to be held on to. Maybe a problem that you're thinking about is not even your problem. It's somebody else's problem, and you're over here stressing off of it. So yeah, maybe you just need to let go and, give yourself that new space so you can start thinking about the things that truly, truly matter in life. So yeah, let's try to stop and think this year, you guys. Stop before we speak. Stop before we make actions. Stop before we do anything. Let's stop and think and really just focus on the amazing, amazing things this year has to bring and all the amazing blessings coming your way. But yeah, so I hope you guys had a wonderful day, a marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening. Remember to take some time to stop and think, journal, meditate, write, focus on one thought at a time, and let's try to let it go. But yeah, besides that, I hope you guys had a great day, marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening, and remember to just keep swimming.